on with Morning at NTV and this chilly weather. This morning, business update, we get to look at the oil and gas sector here in Uganda, the developments, opportunities that you can tap into in order to be a part of the bigger picture and the Vision 2050. But preparations are in the final stages for the Uganda readiness to host the 10th East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition 2023 under the theme East Africa as a hub for investment in exploration and exploitation of petroleum resources for sustainable energy as well as socio-economic development. Now, being held every 2 years since 2003, the East African Petroleum Conferences have provided increasing awareness of the potential for petroleum production in the region, but unlike in the past, petroleum production within the region, and focusing on this particular conference for 2023, it's going to be taking place at a time when the East African community has embarked on a vision to implement the East African Community Vision 2050. Of course, the objective of this vision is to ensure sustainable, affordable and then adequate, competitive, secure as well as reliable supply of energy to meet regional needs at the least cost. By 2050, the region's target is to transform the energy landscape to be characterized by efficient distribution of petroleum products with sufficient strategies as well as reserves. Now, to have this conversation in depth is Mr. Muhumuza Didas. He is the Senior Officer for Stakeholder Management at the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. Good morning to you, Mr. Muhumuza, and you're most welcome.
Morning.
Okay.
Thank you for hosting me.
It's a pleasure. Now let's talk about the East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition 2023. How is Uganda's readiness towards this conference at such a time as this, when we've been hearing oil, things are happening, things are moving, and so Ugandans have been excited that any time now we'll be having our own oil production kicking off?
Thank you,
Priscilla.
Yes. For the good introduction. And as you've all been advised, I'm Muhumuza Didas. I work for the Petroleum Authority as a Senior Officer for Stakeholder Management. Now, to put this into proper perspective, yes, Uganda has been having a lot of work going on regarding the preparation for the sustainable exploitation of hydrocarbon resources. When I talk of hydrocarbon resources, that's oil and gas. With a lot of work also happening to foster the achievement of the objectives of this sector that link with the national development objectives overall and the regional to a greater extent. Now, yes, the readiness is really on, and the timing is very perfect as we have our sector in Uganda that is really in high gear in the development phase, with a lot of input being undertaken to establish the necessary infrastructure, you know, that will enable commercial production of oil come 2025 or at a right time when everything is in place. But at least where we are, it's really well said. Now, this conference, why I say it's the best timing, it's through such conferences, as you've been already hinted on, and you've been advised, this is held biannual, and this is the 10th, and it's for the entire region. Others have been held in other places in Kenya, in Rwanda. Uganda has also hosted one before, I think. It's through these undertakings that the promotion of the potential in the region is undertaken. Now, until you really make it clear to stakeholders, it's always difficult to appreciate what do you have in place. And this is one of the biggest opportunities to showcase the progress and even discuss critical issues. Like there's been a lot of discussion on the energy transition, and it's one of those key things that this sector is equally contributing to strongly. But also one of the key things I would like to highlight is the energy security. this is a very, very important aspect for development of any country or any region. It's one of the key things for the world sustainability. If you have energy security, energy drives industrialization, transportation, even in homes, energy is number one. Okay. It does everything almost, providing the food, the lighting, mention it. Warmth and everything, so much. So you can imagine how much value such a conference comes with. And looking at our developments in Uganda, we've had a lot of great progress. And as Ugandans and as East Africans, as Africans, we need to see how important it is to achieve good outcomes at this time, at this point in time, for the benefit of the population, and also to ensure that we achieve the objectives and goals of the Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. So it's really, really great. It's one of those key contributors to achievement of many things.
We can only trust its greatness to the impact that the other 9 editions of this conference have yielded to the regional oil and gas sector, especially in terms of building regional potential. And from your assessment, how have the other 9 editions built up to what we see across East Africa today in the boosting of the sector?
I'll give, because in the interest of making it well contextualized, I'll give one example. When you look at the developments around the East African crude oil export pipeline, it's a regional project. Had it not been very well synthesized and appreciated as a regional beneficial project, you can imagine how much potential that project has, unlocking the frontier fields, or those other fields that you'd call frontier in the inland resources that are in the Albertine Graben. It really put to the attention of all the regional drivers of development to understand that they all have a contribution to make, and it is supported in that regard because it creates that great value that will benefit the entire region in terms of providing the much needed products, but also generating great value that would enable injecting the resources into other productive sectors of the economies. So that is how it came to a point of realizing that, you know, we have got to understand this. And you see, when it is built in the first place, it's not only going to serve the needs of the country called Uganda, but it serves the needs of the region called East Africa in terms of providing the much needed value for transforming the economy of the region. So that's how those editions have contributed. And even as you keep holding them, you keep appreciating other potential resource values that come on board. So from the time the first was held, it was not the same sort of resource volumes in the region. As we speak now, they have really increased when you've got a lot of technological input and innovations and investment in exploration of gas resources and oil and gas and other important bits. So that's how the regional perspective comes in and makes contribution to achieving the opening up of so many resource spots and getting the true picture of getting a regional focus on achieving the vision 2050 of East Africa.
Okay, so while we look forward to that vision 2050 East Africa, I know that on a national level some of these things are easily pushed, but when it comes to different states with their sovereignty in bringing together the East African bloc to have one direction and boosting the oil and gas sector, I trust that there are some challenges underlying there. So what are the current underlying challenges that are being faced within the region?
In terms of challenges facing the development?
Yes.
Of course, I would imagine there is not any single type of development that does not face challenges. And this comes with the need to deal with those aspects that gives you the aspects that give you the strong driver to think, not to just sleep, just to focus on things that would enable you achieve what you need. Some of the practical challenges, of course, when you look at this, has been a lot of disruption. For example, that was created by the COVID-19. It caused a lot of delays, and this is something I'd say was one of its kind that had never been felt. It disrupted a lot of things, the supply systems and delivery of project timelines and the like. And that now had several downstream aspects on the financial aspects and so forth, and the disruption of labor movement and delivery of supplies. So it's one of those key things, the challenge of the time. And of course, we've had a lot of work that has been undertaken to solve the land acquisition processes, resettlement and compensation. It's not been easy, but there's always a lot of learning, and this has really been done incrementally to achieve the much achieved progress to date. So that has been one of those things. And one of the other challenges, especially for colleagues in the media fraternity, has been a lot of misinformation, or call it disinformation, trying to misrepresent what it is. But also, this poses a great opportunity for putting together the necessary information out for stakeholders to appreciate what is happening, and quite a number of others. But what I would say, there's been a great learning and offer of great opportunity for thinking together to achieve the needed outcomes. And the challenges should not always be seen as blockades, but they offer opportunity for thinking, opportunity for getting together, opportunity for appreciating what you're dealing with, and then you're able to devise the most appropriate strategies for overcoming.
Mr. Muhumuza, you talk about opportunity, and I'm glad that then brings us into the next question when it comes to opportunities that have been availed and are currently present, especially in terms of employment for social and economic development of communities, countries, and the region by and large. What are those opportunities that Ugandans you feel have convincingly tapped into? And then what are those opportunities that presently exist, but maybe because of the disinformation you mentioned earlier, or not being ready to be able to embark on those opportunities as companies, as groups? The difference in there in terms of opportunity uptake with the oil and gas sector.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's one of the things I would start by saying. For example, the media has really benefited a lot in terms of getting business. Media input has been so great. And you've had a lot of opportunities that you have achieved through coverage, being called to cover events and manage events and so forth. And I think even right now you can imagine how much value is delivered to NTV. Now, this is one of the services that you will not say that has only been taken advantage of by CNN or Al Jazeera or BBC, but it starts here. Okay. Now, why I started with that is try and contextualize it in terms of the real practical connections. The oil and gas industry comes in with great basket of opportunities, I would call it, and connections with all segments of society and the economy, be it agriculture, education, health, infrastructure, and many others. You know, in terms of getting to connect and appreciate what you can offer and what you can benefit from the same. Now, Uganda has had the chance to learn lessons from the very good examples of where oil and gas has provided much value to stakeholders, and also learning from the very bad examples not to do the same here. That's one of the things. But I would say, for example, we've had a long drawn process of developing and implementing a national content policy. And this is the crux of the matter, where it looks at so many aspects, be it employment, supplies, promotion of the sector, but also training you know, opportunities. If you went into some of these aspects, there's a lot of deep diving into what has been done, establishment of a specialized institution like Uganda Petroleum Institute in Kigumba, and then so many vocational institutions to really provide the necessary manpower to enable employment of Ugandans, but also building capacity. There's also the National Supplier Database. This is run by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. It's an online platform. This is one of the most strategic interventions that was undertaken to ensure that we have great understanding of the existing potential of suppliers in Uganda. So whoever would like to work in the sector must be registered on that database. And it's a condition even for all those other players, the contractors, the international companies, and subcontractors, among others, who are looking for talent or for suppliers. They have to go to that platform, because there's a sister platform called the National Oil and Gas Talent Register. For whoever has specific talent, you register there and you get to be known. Now all this is done to ensure that there is proper arrangement and systematic connection of Ugandans to the sector. There are 16 service areas before you, you break me up, before we break off from this point. 16 service areas ring-fenced for Ugandans, where the media service, services fall: catering, environmental studies, transportation, freight forwarding, camp services, mention it. They are ring-fenced for Ugandans. And where Ugandan service providers cannot provide, it has to be really proven beyond reasonable doubt
that they can't.
There's also promotion of joint venture partnerships to ensure that Ugandans are able to connect with externally established entities, but also be able to learn, enable technological transfer and benchmarking. It takes a lot to ensure that we achieve the much needed outcome, but we've had a lot of drivers to achieve a great connection of Ugandans to this. Now,
so there's opportunities, and you are doing intentional, implementation for Ugandans to tap into these projects and, on different levels. So let's talk about the conference itself in conclusion. When is it happening? Who's the stakeholder that you are targeting? And then how can one participate?
The conference is scheduled to happen between 9th and 11th of May 2023, and it should happen at the Serena Hotel, exactly where we are here. It's of course, this being a regional, even call it international conference, it targets all stakeholders interested in oil and gas. Of course, it's organized by the East African Community Region Government, but this time it's Uganda's turn to host, so Uganda takes lead, but working with all other regional government. And we have got specific provisions for attendance. You pay to be admitted. There is payment of a fee, which is $500, but it gives you a lot of value in terms of really attending the conference, connections, and even materials, and forward-looking business opportunities. But also it enables the understanding of what is happening overall and how you can benefit. So that's basically what I can say about it. So we're going to definitely wrap it up from here, Mr. Muhomuza. But thank you so much for that insight and enlightening to us as Ugandans the windows of opportunity, the 16 elements of opportunity in the oil and gas sector. Now you can of course turn over to our social media platforms for more information on this upcoming East African conference in the oil and gas sector. For more details on how you can sign up, and of course just type it in on the website, will come through and you'll get those details. We're going to be taking it here, putting a full stop to Morning at NTV and allowing the rest of NTV's programming to continue. Last word, you have 30 seconds.